The screen is dark, save for the amber glow of a street lamp bleeding through horizontal blinds. We hear the metallic, rhythmic click hiss of a man cleaning a disassembled firearm. The camera focuses on Liam's hands, large, steady, and marked by the faint silver lines of old scars. His neck tattoo, an intricate ink-black coil, moves as he swallows. I've built my whole life on the premise that people only knock on my door for two reasons. They want someone gone or they want to be gone themselves. In my world, silence isn't just golden, it's armor. I've lived next to apartment 4B for 6 months and I've never heard a sound louder than a closing book. I liked it that way. It meant the woman living there, Hannah, understood the rules of a place like this. Don't look, don't ask, don't care. Suddenly, a sound shatters the stillness. It's not the heavy thud of a debt collector or the kick of a rival crew. It's a light, erratic tapping, a child's knock. But at 2:00 a.m., the rules changed. Because standing on the other side of that reinforced steel wasn't a threat. It was a girl in a white dress who didn't know enough to be afraid of me. Liam opens the door. The contrast is jarring. He is a shadow, dressed in a black ribbed tank top, smelling of gun oil and cold air. Jenny is a burst of light, her curly hair haloed by the hallway light, her small hand clutching a cheap, plastic-handled screwdriver. "Mr. Scaredy Man, can you help fix our door? The clicking part is broken, and I and my mummy is scared. She's crying, but she told me to stay in bed. I think the door is sick." Liam looks down the hall toward 4B for the first time. He doesn't see a floor plan or an exit route. He sees a cracked open door and hears the jagged, suppressed sob of a woman trying to be brave in a world that doesn't allow for it. I should have closed the door. I should have told her to call the super. But she smiled at me, a real, wide smile that expected nothing but kindness. And for the first time in 10 years, I realized I didn't want to be the reason she learned how to stop smiling. Do you want to know what happened next? If yes, don't skip because you wouldn't want to miss. Where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments section. Now let's go fully into the story. The hallway of the Oakhaven complex felt miles long. Liam stepped out, his boots making no sound on the threadbare carpet, a stark contrast to Jenny's small, bare feet pitter-pattering beside him. He felt exposed. A man like him, a ghost in the city's underbelly, shouldn't be seen escorting a child in a nightgown. "My name is Jenny," she whispered, looking up at him with wide, curious eyes. "What's your name?" Liam didn't answer immediately. Names were dangerous. They were hooks that people used to pull you into their mess. "Liam," he finally muttered, the syllable feeling heavy and foreign in the quiet air. "Like a lion," Jenny giggled, skipping once. "Something like that," he replied grimly. As they reached the door of 4B, Liam's tactical brain took over. He noticed the wood around the strike plate was splintered. This wasn't a mechanical failure. It was the result of someone trying to force their way in recently. His jaw tightened. He looked at the screwdriver in Jenny's hand, a toy, practically. It couldn't fix a birdhouse, let alone a structural breach. "Wait here," Liam commanded, his voice dropping into the low, vibrating tone he used when giving orders to his men. Jenny stopped instantly, her smile faltering just a fraction. Liam felt a strange, sharp pang of guilt at her sudden stillness. He didn't want to scare her, but the predator in him was now fully awake, scenting the air for whatever had made Hannah cry. He pushed the door open an inch further. The hinges groaned, a lonely, desperate sound that echoed the emptiness of the hallway. Inside, the apartment smelled of lavender and cheap floor wax, a scent so domestic it made Liam feel like an intruder in a sanctuary. Hannah was on her knees by the entryway, her back to the door, her shoulders shaking with the effort of silent weeping. She hadn't heard them enter over the sound of her own heartbeat. "Mummy, I got the lion man," Jenny chirped, breaking the heavy silence. Hannah spun around so fast, she slipped on the linoleum. Her eyes, red-rimmed and wide with panic, darted from her daughter to the towering, tattooed man standing in her living room. She scrambled to her feet, instinctively pulling Jenny behind her. "Jenny, get in your room." Hannah's voice was a jagged whisper, trembling with a fear that Liam recognized all too well. It was the fear of a cornered animal. "But Mummy, he's gonna fix the clicking part." Now, Jenny, Hannah snapped, her eyes never leaving Liam. As the child retreated, confused but obedient, the silence that followed was suffocating. Hannah stood there, her hands balled into fists at her sides, trying to mask her trembling. She looked at Liam, at the black ink climbing his neck, at the cold intensity in his gaze, and she saw every nightmare she had moved to this city to escape. "I didn't tell her to go to you," Hannah said, her voice finally finding a brittle strength. "Please, just leave. We don't have anything worth taking. I'll fix the door myself." Liam didn't move. He looked at the door frame, then back at her. "You can't fix this with a plastic screwdriver, Hannah." She flinched at the sound of her name. "How do you know my name?" "I know everyone in this building," he said simply. He held out his hand for the tool Jenny had given him. "I'm not here to take anything. I'm here because your daughter thinks I'm a lion. Don't make me prove her wrong by leaving you with a door that doesn't lock." Hannah didn't move for a long minute. She searched his face for a tell, a smirk, a flicker of cruelty, the predatory hunger of the men she used to know. But Liam's face was a mask of granite. He wasn't looking at her with desire or malice. He was looking at the broken hardware with the clinical eye of an engineer. Slowly, she stepped aside. Liam knelt by the door. He didn't use the toy screwdriver. Instead, he pulled a professional multi-tool from his pocket. The room remained silent, save for the metallic scritch of screws being backed out of wood. Hannah stayed in the kitchen doorway, her body a taut wire. "You're the one from the black SUV," she said suddenly, her voice smaller now. "The one people don't talk to in the laundry room." "It's safer that way," Liam replied without looking up. "For them and for me." "Then why are you here?" Liam paused, his hand resting on the cold metal of the latch. He thought about his apartment, the pristine, empty rooms, the weapons hidden in the vents, the loneliness he had rebranded as freedom. Then he thought about Jenny's smile. "Because she asked," Liam said. He looked up, his eyes meeting Hannah's for the first time. "And because I know what it's like to stay awake wondering if the door is going to hold." Hannah's breath hitched. In that one sentence, the Mafia boss and the single mother found a sliver of common ground. He wasn't a savior, and she wasn't a victim. They were just two people who knew that the world was full of monsters. Liam stood up, the door now clicking shut with a heavy, satisfying thud. It was secure. But as he turned to leave, he noticed a shadow moving in the hallway outside, a man he didn't recognize lingering near the stairs. The repair was finished, but the danger was just beginning. Liam didn't flinch, but his entire posture recalibrated. He was no longer a neighbor fixing a door. He was a predator sensing a rival. Through the small gap in the doorway, he saw the flicker of a cigarette cherry near the stairwell. Whoever was out there wasn't a professional. Professionals don't leave a scent, but they were bold. Hannah noticed the shift. She saw Liam's hand move instinctively toward the small of his back, his eyes narrowing into cold slits. "What is it?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Stay inside. Lock this door. Don't open it for anyone but me," Liam said. His voice had lost its human warmth, returning to the gravelly command of the streets. "Liam, wait!" Hannah reached out, her fingers brushing the rough fabric of his tank top. The contact sent a jolt through both of them. It was the first time she had initiated a touch, and for a second, the fear in her eyes was replaced by a desperate plea for him not to disappear into the darkness. "I'm just checking the perimeter, Hannah. Lock it." He stepped out into the hall. The sound of the deadbolt sliding home behind him was a relief. Liam walked toward the stairs, his movement fluid and predatory. The man in the shadows, a scruffy individual in a heavy coat named Vane, straightened up. He wasn't one of Liam's men. He was a bottom feeder, a local debt collector who smelled blood in the water. "Lost your way?" Liam asked, his voice a low vibration that seemed to rattle the very walls. "Just looking for a lady who owes some people some things," Vane sneered, trying to maintain his bravado. "Didn't know she had a bodyguard." Liam took a step closer, entering Vane's personal space. He didn't raise his fists, he simply stood there, a mountain of quiet violence. "She doesn't have a bodyguard, she has a neighbor, and I have a very low tolerance for noise on my floor. Leave, now." Vane looked at the tattoo on Liam's neck, finally recognizing the mark of the syndicate. His face went pale. He didn't say another word. He turned and bolted down the stairs. Liam watched him go, but he knew this wasn't over. A door was fixed, but a debt was still calling. The next morning, the hallway smelled of burnt coffee and nervous energy. Liam was preparing to leave for a meeting when he saw a small, hand-drawn picture slid under his door. It was a crayon drawing of a lion standing in front of a house. He picked it up, a strange tightness in his chest. For years, he had been the man people paid to go away. Now, he was the man a child drew pictures for. He walked to 4B and knocked, 3 measured, calm taps. Hannah opened it. She looked exhausted, her hair pulled back in a messy knot, but the sheer terror from the night before had softened into a guarded curiosity. "He's gone," Liam said without preamble. "The man from the stairs." Hannah leaned against the doorframe, letting out a long, shaky breath. "He'll be back, or someone else will. My husband." He left behind more than just memories when he passed. He left a paper trail of bad decisions. "I can make the paper trail go away," Liam offered. It was a dangerous offer. It involved using resources that would alert his own superiors that he was getting involved with civilians, a cardinal sin in his world. "No," Hannah said firmly, surprising him. "I don't want more blood on my doorstep, Liam. I've spent my life running from men who fix things with violence. I just wanted a safe place for Jenny to grow up." Liam looked at her, really looked at her. He saw the strength beneath the exhaustion. She wasn't looking for a savior, she was looking for an ally. "Then let me teach you," Liam said. "Not how to fight, but how to see them coming, and how to make sure they never want to come back." The following week became a strange, quiet ritual. Under the guise of Jenny, helping Liam with mundane chores in the hallway, Liam began to speak to Hannah in code. He showed her how to check the mirrors in the lobby, how to identify the scouts from the enforcers, and how to use the building's layout to her advantage. It wasn't a romance, it was a transfer of survival skills. But in the quiet moments, while Jenny played with her dolls on the rug, the tension between Liam and Hannah shifted. "Why do you have that?" Hannah asked one evening, pointing to the tattoo on his neck while they sat on her small balcony. "It's a reminder," Liam said, his fingers tracing the ink. "In my culture, this mark means you belong to the pack. It means you aren't your own man anymore. I got it when I was 19 because I thought it made me powerful. Now it just feels like a leash." "You don't look like a man on a leash to me," Hannah remarked, her voice soft. "That's because I've started walking in the opposite direction of the person holding it," Liam replied. Their hands were inches apart on the railing. The city hummed below them, a chaotic, indifferent beast. For a moment, the boss and the mother weren't roles. They were just 2 tired souls finding a moment of peace. But the peace was shattered by the sound of a phone ringing inside. Liam's phone, a number he only used for the syndicate. He answered it, his face turning to stone. "Liam," the voice on the other end said, an older, raspier voice. "We heard you've been playing handyman. The boss wants to know why one of our best assets is fixing hinges for a woman who owes the wrong people money. Bring her to the warehouse, tonight, or we'll come to the building ourselves." Liam hung up. The weight of his past had finally caught up to the safety of the hallway. Liam stood in the center of Hannah's living room, the air suddenly feeling thin. The boss, a man named Juro who viewed human lives as entries in a ledger, didn't make suggestions. He issued death sentences wrapped in invitations. "What happened?" Hannah asked, her voice steady despite the way her pulse thrummed in the hollow of her throat. She had learned to read Liam's silence. This silence was different. It tasted like ash. "My world and yours just collided," Liam said, his voice a low grate. "They know about the debt, they know about you, and they think I'm protecting an asset that belongs to them." Hannah didn't scream. She didn't panic. She walked over to the window and looked at Jenny, who was fast asleep in the next room, her white cotton dress discarded for flowered pajamas. "If you take me there, what happens?" "They'll use you to send a message to the people your husband owed. And they'll use me to deliver it." Liam stepped toward her, his shadow swallowing her small frame. But I spent 10 years being a message. I'm tired of being a hollow word. He reached out, his thumb grazing her jawline, a rare, electric moment of vulnerability. I'm going to go, alone. I need you to take Jenny and go to the address on this paper. It's a dry cleaner's shop. Tell the man at the counter the lion sent you. He'll put you in a room that doesn't exist on any map. And you? Hannah's eyes searched his, looking for a promise he couldn't legally make. I'm going to go fix one last door, Liam said. The warehouse was a cavern of concrete and cold echoes. Jiro sat in a leather chair, surrounded by men whose faces were blurred by a lifetime of apathy. When Liam walked in alone, the air shifted from professional to lethal. Where is the woman, Liam? Jiro asked, not looking up from a ledger. She's gone, and the debt is settled, Liam said, tossing a heavy, vacuum-sealed bag of cash onto the table. It was his entire life's savings, the retirement fund he had bled for over a decade. Jiro finally looked up, his eyes narrow. That money was yours, Liam. You're buying a stranger's freedom with your own blood. I'm buying my own, Liam replied. I'm done, Jiro. The tattoo stays, but the leash is broken. If you come for them, you come for me, and you know exactly how expensive I am to kill. It wasn't a movie standoff. There were no guns drawn. It was a psychological chess match. Jiro looked at the money, then at the man who had been his most loyal shadow. He saw something in Liam's eyes he had never seen before, a reason to live that was stronger than the fear of dying. Get out, Jiro whispered. But if I ever see your face in the city again, the money won't matter. Liam turned and walked out. He didn't look back. He felt the weight of 1,000 guns on his spine, but for the first time in his life, his head was clear. He wasn't a boss. He wasn't a weapon. He was just a man going home. 2 days later, the Oakhaven apartment complex was quiet. The door to 4B was closed, but the splintered wood had been professionally replaced. The hallway no longer felt like a gauntlet. It felt like a passage. Hannah stood at the bus stop 3 blocks away, clutching Jenny's hand. They were leaving the city, heading toward a small town where the names were common and the shadows were just shadows. She looked at the crowded street, her heart sinking. She hadn't seen Liam since the night he told her to run. Mummy, look, Jenny shouted, pointing toward a black SUV idling at the curb. The window rolled down. Liam sat in the driver's seat. He wasn't wearing the black tank top. He was in a simple gray hoodie, the tattoo on his neck partially obscured. He looked tired, but his eyes were bright with a strange, new light. He didn't give a grand speech. He didn't promise forever. He simply hopped out, took their suitcases, and loaded them into the trunk. Where are we going? Hannah asked, her voice thick with emotion. Somewhere with better locks, Liam said, a small, genuine smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. As they drove away from the city, Jenny sat in the back, drawing a new picture. It wasn't just a lion anymore. It was a lion, a woman, and a girl, all standing in front of a door that was wide open, not because it was broken, but because for the first time they weren't afraid of who was coming through it. The story ends not with a kiss, but with the sound of the car's central locking system, a rhythmic, secure click that signaled the beginning of a life where they were no longer looking over their shoulders.